don't want to deliver the call.
Exactly. And welcome, everybody. We are live. I have my very good friend, Cara, with me today. And we're going to talk about how to have what you truly desire.
Wow. That's like a whole, and we all go, has that ever actually happened?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I was writing a little post to share the live, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a very good example. It's like, I think we've all been to a restaurant before where you're like, I would like the chicken, or you order something and then something else shows up magically. And you're like, well, wait a second. That's not what I ordered. I guess I could eat that. And sometimes you're more excited about what came. Other times you're kind of like, I didn't order that, but I guess I'll have it. So we've been talking a lot about take that analogy into ask and receive, like how we ask for things, right? Like, I think I would like this in my life. And then when something shows up that you're kind of like the wrong dish at the restaurant, you're like, wait a second, did I ask for that? Or is that mine? And you're not really excited. It's weird. So
that's how it has showed up for me in my life.
Tell me about that.
We're like, I don't even have the cognition of I didn't ask for this. Like, I actually think I did. Like, I have this sense of like, oh, this is what I would like to create, what I would like desire. And then it shows up and I'm not that enthused about it. Or it's just kind of like, want, which how often do we actually admit that that's what shows up too? Then it's this process of faking it till you make it and like pretending that you're really excited about something when you're really not excited about it. Like my whole life has been a little bit like that.
Yeah. And keep going.
Well, I was going to say, it's like one of the things I love about the X-Men body of work, the Access X-Men body of work, was when I started to actually get the information around this particular body of work, I started to realize like how I had been trying to convince myself that I liked my life, or that I liked what I was doing, or liked what showed up, or
oh wow.
And not like, and then I was like, well, shit. Like, if I actually was choosing what match what I would like to create in the world, like if I went from energetically and not cognitively, like what could show up, which is why I'm so excited to do the call that we're going to be doing. I don't know, a couple weeks, because your energy shopping was one of the things that I started really going like, what if because the other thing X-Men do, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping around. X-Men.
No, but just give a little bit about what is an X-Men when we talk about it, as far as, because everyone's probably seen the movies. So relate that to our everyday.
X-Men in Access Consciousness is basically a body of work that directly addresses all of those interesting disabilities on the planet. And it used to be there were like 4 or 5 big ones, but now there's a spectrum of this and a spectrum of that. So it's like, it's your autism, your ADD, your ADHD, your OCD, anywhere.
Your neurodiversity, basically.
Yes. Now. And I love that that's what people call it, because that is truly what it is. It's like your brain just is not like everyone else's. And when your brain is different, everything you experience is different. You don't actually have any same experience as anyone else on the planet, which for a while really like that was an aha moment for me. And it still sometimes is, because I tend to assume that if I'm experiencing something in particular, right, everyone else is.
Yeah, no,
not so.
And can I have to share this, because when you talk about the brain, and I do too love this neurodiversity thing, I have to share this. I'm going to do a reel about this later. I was watching last night a video on neuroplasticity. Sorry, I'm going to geek out sciencey a little bit, but it pertains to this, of how different our brain.
Well-known fact about Miss Emily is she can geek out. So here we go. Everybody.
I love geeking out. And I make it really simple though.
Okay.
Basically what neuroplasticity is, it's the awesomeness of your brain that it can always actually change and shift and learn new things, like actually change its structure. And scientists didn't used to think this was possible. They thought your brain stopped like changing after you were a kid, but it's not true. Okay. So I'm watching this video last night on neuroplasticity, and they said, it's like, imagine you have a house, like your brain's like a house, and you keep going, like you like to turn on the lights in this one room because you're like exploring these like different possibilities or things, right? What your brain does is it goes, oh, we need more electrical conduit in this room. Every hour, it like doubles the amount of stuff it wants there. And then it'll shut down pathways and pull electrical conduit from parts of your brain that they don't need anymore. So one of the things I've judged myself for a lot is being very forgetful, like not forgetful, like I can learn something super quickly. Yep. Like I lived in Japan, I learned Japanese and 2 of the alphabets in 6 months, and then completely forgot everything. I will forget people's names now. Like we joke about something called CRS, which is called can't remember shit. I now realized that is actually an awesome sign of how fucking brilliant your brain is. Because what it's doing is, oh, like you're so different. You're actually desiring to use your brain in all these diverse ways and explore things. So we're going to put our energy and actually rewire your brain this way and shut down the stuff that's kind of boring. You're not needing it anyway. And if you need to access it, we'll flip a light back on for you. And I was like, wow.
It's amazing. And that's like most of us that find our way to the X-Men body work, is we've like lived our whole lives wondering what the hell is wrong with us, because how people do things here doesn't really work for us. Like most of us can fake things really, really well. And it's like that, you know, it's like how many times have you been made wrong for being too focused or being focused on a bunch of different things? Like it can be either or with an X-Men, which is another thing I love about X-Men. There is no 2 X-Men that are the same. And you know, with like what we're talking about, like when you're, you know, you there's all these like law of attraction, and I always like before Access, you know, I read the law of attraction book. I did a lot of that. I must have had somewhere in my world that I was aware, because there was almost this place of like not being super confident that what I thought I would want to ask for is what I actually wanted.
Yeah.
So I've always lived in this state of like, ooh. So I must actually believe in attracting, you know, being able to ask and receive. And sometimes I'd be like, is that something that I really desire? Like the other thing that comes along with that with Access is the 10-second choice, which was super helpful. Because those of us recovering perfectionists who think you have to get the correct choice on the first go, like that was such a breath of fresh air to me too. Because I think either I would choose what everybody else was choosing, and then wonder why it never really like either excited me or even worked for me. Have you ever had that experience where it's like this shit works for everyone else and yet doesn't do the same thing for me? Like,
but what I love about that is it's not wrong. Like we think that would be wrong, but what if we actually get to knowing what we truly want to have and what we desire basically it's like experimentation, trial and error. I'm going to ask you this, but we make that wrong because so often it does show up because we are aware of other people's universes. So you might really think you desire something. That's okay. If when it shows up, it's just practice. It's like going to the buffet and thinking you really want this dish because it looks good. Yeah. And then you start eating it and you're like, that is not what I thought it was going to be. What do? You know what? You can get another plate if you're at the all-you-can-eat buffet of the universe, basically.
Well, I mean, I basically did that with jobs, careers, like things that I would do, and I would be like, why am I even doing this? This is so weird. Now, did I have like an interest in something, absolutely. But then I would, tap into, because one of the things that X-Men can do is we can tap into, it's like, I love it because Temple Grandin explained it so well, where she said an autistic person will look at a picture of a cat and they won't just be looking at that picture of that cat. They will then tap into every cat on the planet who's ever had a picture taken of it, past, present, and future, all their personal experiences with cats, how cats smell, how cats feel, how, it's all like that. And so many, like for me, that's like, I would be curious about something. And then it would be like, well, now I've got to do it all. Like I've got to like become whatever. And then I would reach this like target goal. And do I really like what I'm doing here? Like what's happening?
Yeah.
So I've changed like what I do, quote unquote, like for jobs. And I think the freedom of being able to go, like you said, like if you ever get to that point where you're like, oh God, I thought I would be way more. And sometimes it's getting there. It's like, the end result isn't what was the contribution in the first place. It's like, it was the process of it anyway. But I love the idea.
Pause. That's very key. Because like you said, the end result, maybe you leave the job or the relationship or whatever that is, but what awareness did you gain from that? Or like the journey of having, and how much more clear are you now after like going to the buffet, ordering what you thought you wanted, and then going, oh, that's not actually totally the package. There's some parts of it I would like, some energies that maybe do work for you, some that don't. There is no wrong choice. And it's actually like, I think we make ourselves so wrong for, oh shit, like I'm not actualizing what I really want, or is this mine? It's like, you're getting information every time you do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's also too, like where I always kid, like it doesn't matter what I'm doing, like what I'm doing. I am always the redheaded stepchild. Like I'll be doing something, but I always have to do it slightly different. And that's actually where I used to say that from a space of like, this has got to be wrong. I remember when I started teaching yoga. I got my certifications. I went to started teaching in a pretty large studio where I lived. And then I got super interested in prenatal and postnatal yoga. Yeah. And everybody was like, why would you do that? Like, that's such a niche. Like, you're going to have 2 people in your class. And I didn't even really that wasn't even something I considered. I was like, this is just interesting to me. So I'm going to go this direction. And, I was always I'm always a little off. Like, I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it slightly different in my own way. And for a long time, I made myself like really wrong, not externally, but internally, like, oh God, I never can just do it, things like how everybody else is doing it. I've never been able to. So it's just nice to stop trying to.
Yeah. And I think that is the invitation to this, like in this conversation, or the takeaway is that difference, the way your brain works differently, the way you choose differently, the energy is like you said, I love to talk about energy shopping and this whole ask and receive, like ask for energies, because also that helps with X-Men, because you can't really define an energy. Like if people say, I would like more, I don't know, peace. Well, okay, but what's the energy of peace to you?
Yes.
That's going to be a totally different ask. Like the more undefined we get with that. And that's where our unique, I want to say, like energetic signature shows up in how your life actualizes when you start asking from the energy, because you're not trying to define it or fit someone else's ask or what you think. I should want more, love, or, all those things, or even images or words that we think we should want. And it's not wrong if you ask for them and they show up, because now.
Well, I mean, like success is a big one, it's like how many, like that's a big one. That's a huge one. Like, how many different, like every single person has a different idea of what success is. And when you're someone who's really, really aware and you have the ability to tap into someone else's world in a heartbeat, and then make their solidity, because it's so much more louder than your space and, no point of view.
Yeah.
Like the thing, then you just end up down this path and you're like, how did I even get here? But the thing I love about, like, when you speak about energy shopping is that it's not about the definition of the energy. It's about like energetically fine-tuning what it is for you. And so like that allows someone like me, who will always be more aware of the loudest, most solidified conclusion in the room, to go, okay, well, maybe it's not quite that. Maybe, okay, so like if it just is slightly different, it's like the
I
whole
love how you just said that energetic, like it is energetic fine tuning. So it's like in our kind of buffet example, if you try one thing, it's like, okay, what flavors in that worked for you? You can adjust, like you can go back, start over, or you can adjust what you've got by asking for different energies. But it's like, I was just, before Cara and I went live, I was like, hey, I actually just went and fine tuned my ask. I just traded in my car to get a new car with just, what I had for a year. I was like, I thought I wanted it. I did a lot of research. I got really excited when I'd watch the videos on YouTube about this new car. Whose reality was I aware of? And I just thought, like, this is mine. I need a big car. I've got 2 girls. I like to have people. And like, I literally got so excited before I even went to get the car. Right. And then I've had it for a year and I'm always kind of like, meh, meh, when I go to drive it. And my girls are like, I don't really like this car. And then there's just like annoying ways it beeps at you, like little stuff. So literally this morning, I called the car dealer about a mirror part. And then I was like, hey, what would happen if I wasn't super happy with this car? It's a lease. Like, could I change it? Like, what do you have? And they're like, yeah, you could totally change your mind. Come in. We actually have this version. It's a little smaller. It's the colors I really actually wanted a year ago. It's like was fine tuning, but you have to take action of 1, being willing to ask again.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, taking an action. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go check it out and see. I'll sit in it. I'll drive it. I'll see. Do I go, yay? And I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been settling for a year, but hey, I needed the information to kind of go, no, I really am like, rah, rah, every time I get in my car.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like where I would lock myself in for years and years, amen, was that I would be like, well, I asked for this. So now I have to like,
I should be grateful.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
What if that's just nonsense? And you can, like you said, don't make yourself wrong that what showed up wasn't quite what you asked. Like maybe it's exactly what you asked for, but it didn't give you the energy that you really truly desired. What if it was just like, oh, well, okay, so what else?
Yeah. It's the process of having it show up. The fact that you're like, meh, meh, maybe that wasn't mine. I'm not excited. That's the gift. Now you have more information. Like, if you guys don't know, one of my favorite games is this game where we go like, if you're like, hey, do you want to go to this restaurant or this restaurant? And then you like say, and in your head, like, I'm going to ask you, do you want to go here or here?
Yeah.
And then I make sure I know this is a restaurant like pizza and this is, I don't know, Indian food. And then I mix them up. And then I energetically ask you, okay, which one do you want to go to? And Cara would point out, which hand do you want to go to?
I want to go to that hand.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Indian food. Now, I used to think the point of the game, if I went like, oh, but I don't really want Indian. That's the point of the game. Either you're really excited about what you chose. It's not about getting the hand right. It's about the energy you get when you find out what you just chose. So it's like if it's Indian food, you go, oh, then now you have more information that you desire to go for pizza. It's not that you chose the wrong hand.
And how much do we, and I'm going to say it, fuck ourselves over by making ourselves go with the hand, because it's like, oh, that's what came up. So my hand must know something that I don't know. And I'm just going to totally energetically what popped up. And the thing about I really got with being an X-Men more recently than I want to admit when I ask from a space of what I would like for my future, whether it's 10 minutes into the future or 10 years, the awareness that that either I get or my body gives me is so fast that if I ask again 2 seconds later, I've missed it.
Yep. Look at this. Look at this comment Simone just wrote too. Or by the time it arrives, you've outgrown it because the speed of space changers that we are.
That's never happened to me. Not at all.
Oh, but again, that's how cool is that? Because that's also rather than wrong. Some people go, but wait, can I change what I've asked for? Or yeah, you're so fast, that exact thing. Like, that's okay if you've asked and it showed up and now you've outgrown it. Now you are that fast. Like, what a cool acknowledgement. So now how far in the future would you like to be when you ask for things? Or how expanded out, or like all these different spaces you could play with asking from. And just it's a game. You get to see, how does that work for you? Like, is that fun of what shows up? So it's like, and basically we're not wrong. And we actually, like, as X-Men are playing with this idea, you have more capacities to get clear on what is true for you. It may at first we are aware of so much.
Yep.
But that's a gift. So you have basically more colors and stuff to play with. And the more you get clear on what is true for you, and then the more like open, I want to say, or flexible you are with what and how it shows up, the more possibilities there are, and the more choosing and choosing again, which is creating and creating your life.
And again, that it's like, it's not about getting to any sort of destination in any way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I'm very excited for this call that we're doing.
Yeah. And I'm going to answer I see a question I want to answer, but before I do, Cara and I, we're doing a call next in a couple of weeks called, and it's energy shopping and X-Men. And then who does it belong to, basically, for like when you are. So it is going to be all about like kind of this topic, like asking, creating your life, asking, creating, getting clear on what is true for you, etc. So you can find the info there about it. And we'd love to invite you.
Yes.
And I love, this is a great way to end so we don't facilitate the whole call on this live. But I love this. What can you ask to get clear on what you really want when there seem to be so many points of view of others involved? Yeah. Yes. Okay. I will give my favorite question for this. And then Cara, I'd love to hear what you say, what you use. Again, it's a gift that you are aware of so many points of view, because it's like, how cool is that you have like the bird's eye view of everybody's desires and the things they're asking for, they should ask for. A question that is my favorite question at the moment, because I've literally had it on a Post-it and been asking it since last summer, and stuff that has shown up is still like knocking my socks off, this is very simple. What is true for me that I have not yet discovered? And then let it go. And you know what's magical is the universe starts showing you all these things that are true for you that I had not discovered. And kind of like you, I was a little bit, when I asked it, I was like, man, if I haven't even discovered what's true for me yet, and I'm like here in my mid-40s, and like I'm like, oh shit. But rather than oh shit, how cool. Because then all this stuff has been showing up. I'm like, wow, I have a cool life. And this is only getting greater when I get more and more clear what's true for me.
And that's what I would say. I would use that question. And then what I would say is it's the acknowledgement that of everything that we've been talking about, that you are that aware, and that you have been choosing possibly from other people's requests and desires. And if you know that, what is it that you would like to choose?
Yep.
So yeah.
Ha. Okay.
You're all in.
I when the time goes by, I'm like, I want to keep chatting about this. So you guys are invited to that call. you can find it on that page. I'm also doing a couple lives this weekend on Autism Awareness Day on Sunday. Miss Cara is hosting a class at the ranch, body whispering. So I was like, oh yeah, that's going on. So
I'm gonna go have a date with my autistic sweet body.
And the horses.
That's a whole nother conversation. Like, how do you know that it's your body that you're aware of? Oh my God.
What your body desires.
Dude.
Oh, holy moly.
Yep.
Food, sex, movement. You might be aware of everyone else's point of view. Just saying.
Yep. So I'm going to go whispering at my body. That's what I'm doing this weekend.
Sounds so good. Well, I'll do a couple lives and even extrapolate a little bit more, but we'd love to invite you guys to the call or the lives and just to really explore more about this, about X-Men and really the gift you are and the brilliance of how different we are as beings and how different our energetic signatures are and how neurodiverse our amazing brains are. And we can use all of that to our advantage rather than against us.
Here, sister.
Here. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. And oh my God, I adore you, Cara.
Same. Mwah.
Mwah. Bye, guys.